Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So this week I've been building the biggest bookcase or display unit I've ever built. First off, I start ripping down all the materials ready to build the bottom units. This is out of pre-finished light grey egg board. I'm using number 20 biscuits for alignment and then using 5 by 60 millimeter screws to put the units together. The biscuits are not really there for strength, just for alignment. I think it's much easier when using biscuits to get everything nice and flush, especially when you work on your own like me. I've recently swapped over from using conformat screws to number 5 by 60 mil screws. I really like these turbo screws from Screwfix because they're really sharp and they got a nice countersink head as well. Even though I use a countersink head as well in the drill before I screw them in, I don't have any problems with splitting or coming through the sides with these screws. I use 18mm material and I even use 18mm on the back just for strength, and it just means I can keep all the materials the same, so all 18mm. And here I am just screwing it on with 4x50mm screws. So all the units are built. I screw all the feet on. These are from my Ironmongery Direct. Next, I will level up and screw all the bottom units together. It's important to get it all level just because I'm going to be building it up in the workshop and then dismantling it before I fit on site, so it's got to be perfect. I really take my time getting everything right, using the clamps and the levels and then screwing it together. Next, I start making the top units because there's actually units going on top of the display shelving unit. But I was waiting for the MDF to be delivered, so I thought I might as well build the top units now because I got the materials for that. I use a track saw with the FC square to rip down all the big materials, and then a lot of stuff then is ripped down on the table saw. Again, a lot of marking out required to get all the biscuits and the screws in the right position. So now I can start building all the top units up. Again, using number 20 biscuits and the 5x60mm screws. And finally, the 18mm moisture resistant MDF was delivered, so I could start making the shelving unit now. Again, using the track saw with the big rail. This is a 2.7 meter rail. There's going to be a lot of joining the MDF together because I'm going to have 36mm thick shelves. So I basically just cut in or everything roughly to size. And once all this big stuff is ripped down, I can go to the table saw to cut down all the small stuff. It's a lot quicker on the table saw. Now the shelves are the correct depth, I can start cutting the length of the shelves. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of joining together. I'll show you how I'm doing that now. I'm basically just gluing 2 pieces of 18mm together to create the 36mm thickness that I need. I used a lot of glue, probably a little bit too much glue now watching this back. And here's me joining it together. Again, I used biscuits and I just overlapped the joins to give it the most strength. I had 3 shelves in total to do, and I used a lot of glue. I think I went a bit over the top on the glue just because I was so scared of it not bonding together correctly. Now I'm working on the backing panels for the unit, and I use a chamfering bit in the router to create a groove, so when the panels butt together it creates a V-groove so you can fill it, so there's no clear joins on show. As you can see, they are very heavy. I've struggled a bit to lift this. It's 3.2 meters, so I'm just gonna cut these down now so they're nice and flush. So I did struggle to cut this, to be honest. I think I needed a new blade. So here I'm using the Mellow Zeta, and I'm going to be using Climax fittings to join it all together because I want to take it apart to refit it on site. This is the best method to get nice tight joins, but also be able to take it apart later. This is probably my favourite tool. It is a lot of money, but I use it so often now, and I don't think I could do without it. There are other methods you could use, like a domino, just using normal biscuits, but I find this is the best method for me. So here I am, just laying everything out on the floor so I can start building it up. I didn't realise how heavy this was. So yeah, just putting the side pieces onto the top, and like I said, using the Climax to tighten it all together. Now I'm putting on the backing panels. Again, I used the Mellow with the Climax fittings to pull the backing panels tight together. On the edges, I just use 4x50mm screws. I'm using the Viking arms to support the middle part as well, because I didn't realise how big this was going to be. The last piece now, the backing board. Like I said, this is 3.2 meters by 2.6 meters high in total. See, the Climax just pulls everything nice and tight. This is the funniest part. I thought I could lift it up. It didn't work. I had to get my neighbours to come and help me. Now I'm just screwing on the bottom shelf. So next I put the edging on. This is paintable edging, so it hides the joint where the boards are stuck together. And I just iron it on. And I trim both edges, and then I use the Veritas flush plane to get it nice and flush, and then I use a 3.2mm round over bit to give it a nice finish. So now I'm creating a groove in the shelves and the upright. And this is a support that goes onto the unit. Again, I have to ask my good friend to help me lift the shelves up. So I'm just cutting the back in pieces now. This is 12mm by 12mm strips. And this is how I slide the shelves in and out easily without seeing any of the fixings. Again, more edging. I'm getting quite good at the iron now. And then after all that hard work, I can put up the supports. I know I'm putting up the top units that I built earlier. Them big ones are quite heavy and quite difficult to get up on my own. Really, I should have had help. Now I'm just making the side fillers. So I create a groove in the backing piece. So then again, I don't have any fixings on show, and I'm using again number 20 biscuits. This is the Derek Barrett method, a Instagrammer that I follow over on Instagram, and he's very clever, and he taught me this method. And also I'm edge banding the edges as well of the fillers. This is a great little edge band that I bought during lockdown, so in 2020, and is still going strong. It is a little bit slower, but the tape sticks to the material really well, a lot better than the iron. I'm just cutting the slots in the front filler. And just like that, the fillers are going on. Now I'm just doing the doors for the top units. They are out of MDF and they're going to be sprayed on site. And here I'm just cutting out the 35mm screws for the hinges that I'm using. This is the Blum hinge jig. To be honest, I don't really think it's worth the money. I think the Craig one is a lot cheaper and just as good. So now putting on the top doors, and I'm using the Blum stays to hold the doors up once installed. And lastly is the bottom doors. These are oak veneer doors, and again I'm putting the edging on. I've not done much of the edging on the oak veneer, so this was another good test and it turned out really well. For some mad reason, it's a lot easier to cut out the hinge holes in the oak veneered rather than a moisture resistant. It must be something to do with the glue that they use in the moisture resistant MDF. Next, I transfer the markings over to the units. I use the Blum mounting plate jig. And then finally, I can start putting the bottom doors on. This is the last stage now. And now I got to take it all apart to put it in the van. I didn't do any filming when I was installing it, but here are some pictures. And I'm really happy how it's turned out. And I can't wait to see it all finished once it's been sprayed. Once again, thanks for watching.